Hi there everyone, welcome to Pour Painting with Ron. I hope you've been really well since the last time we saw each other. So, what sort of painting are we going to be doing today? If you've seen the thumbnail for this video, well then you've got a pretty good idea already anyway. But if you haven't guessed, I'm going to be doing a swipe today, which is a technique that I haven't done in a little while. So the canvas I'm going to be using today for my swipe is this 40 centimeter by 80 centimeter thin edge canvas. And just like I always do, I've taped off the back with some painter's tape just to keep things tidy, and I've put in some giant push pins that I got from my local Officeworks store to keep the canvas off the table. Now do make sure your canvas is nice and tight. Should make a nice drumming sound. If it's not tight enough, you can lightly spray the back with some water and blow dry it. That'll tighten the canvas. And if that's not enough, you can use the little stretcher bars they supply with canvases usually in the corners. Hammer those in and that'll tighten your canvas too. But you want a nice tight canvas so your paint doesn't sink in the middle, which is the idea. Okay, so what colours am I going to be using today? Well, for a swipe, I'm using a background colour. So the background colour today is going to be this Montmartre Lamp Black. And I'm thinning that 1 part paint, 1 part Australian Floetrol, which is this, and some water, and I'll show you the consistency in a bit. But I do like it pretty runny for this particular technique. Now the colours on the top, I'm going for bright flamey sorts of colours today. So I'm using a combination of Montmartre paints and Extreme Sheen metallics. And I'm going to swipe the Montmartre paints over top of the Extreme Sheen metallics, creating some interesting effects. Well, that's the plan anyway. Right, so the Montmartre colours I'm using are what's this one? Orange and Brilliant Red. And again, I've mixed them quite thin. 1 part paint, 1 part Floetrol, and a bit of water. And then the Extreme Sheen paints that create interesting sort of pearl effects. I'm using some 24 karat gold, some copper, and a teeny bit of silver. I was a bit stingy and I didn't want to open a new one, and I had a little bit left in a little squeeze bottle, so I'm hoping that's enough for this painting. Right, and again I've mixed some 1 part Extreme Sheen to 1 part Floetrol. Didn't need to add any water because these paints are quite thin to begin with. Now, if you have trouble with lumps in your Floetrol, which I know some of you do, you can buy screw top strainer lids from Amazon, but being a cheapskate that I am, I just use a piece of pantyhose and I just tie it over the top and secure it with a rubber band. And that works for the whole bottle. When the bottle's finished, I just chuck it away and put a new piece of pantyhose on the top of the new bottle. Okay, now to swipe with, there are lots of things you can use to swipe paint with. You can use playing cards, bits of cardboard, bits of plastic, but I haven't used paper towels for a while, so I'll use paper towels on this one. Hopefully I won't regret it and wish I'd used something else instead. But each one creates its own effect. All right, let's get started. So here we are all ready to go. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. The camera always makes the canvas look a bit weird, but you should get a pretty good idea of how the painting is working out today. All right, make sure you wear gloves. Saves lots of hand washing afterwards, particularly if you use black. Black seems to go everywhere. So use gloves. All right, now my paint, I'll show you the consistency. If I pour it off the spoon like that, it doesn't leave a mound or a very, very tiny one. And if I twirl it around, the bump of paint at the top stays there for about 1 second or so. So it is pretty thin. Now I've mixed up 2 cups. I used like 100 grams of paint, 100 grams of Floetrol, and about, I think, 50 grams of water thereabouts. But the amount of water you use depends on how thick your paint is to begin with. So just add a little bit at a time until you're happy with the consistency. Now I'll just pour the paint over the canvas. My other cup. Try not to drip everywhere. I'll keep a little bit just in case I make a terrible mistake. I can cover it over with a bit of black. Alright, now I'll spread it out just a bit with my palette knife, and then I'll stretch it out over the canvas. Now I don't want a big, huge, thick layer of paint on the canvas because we're not tilting after we've put the colour on. You don't want a lot left on the canvas because with nowhere to go. If there's too much there, the swipe won't work really well, and you run the risk of the paint cracking when it dries if it's too thick. Okay, but you do want enough to cover the canvas well. And if it's nice and runny, it should be very easy to tilt. Now this is the really messy bit. Okay, I'll come down to this end first. Get down to that side. Ooh. And I'll come down this way. And I'll do this end. I should have just enough, I think. I'll just move it back to the middle. Not a lot left. Okay, now that may not look black to you with the light shining on there from the light. Camera does funny things when it shines, but I'll just go around, make sure all the corners are covered. Just use my fingers. You see why the gloves are important to use. Easier to tell what's covered or not covered if it's black. White is a bit trickier. Alright, now I'll just go and wipe off rinse off these gloves, and I'll be back. Okay, we are back. Now I might have a lump of paint in there somewhere. Let's see, I think I spotted it. There's something happening there. Not sure what it is. Okay, time will tell when it dries, I suppose. Now I'll give it a bit of a torch to pop air bubbles. Don't get too close or stay in one spot too long because you'll burn your paint. Now I'm swiping, so bubbles don't really matter too much with this one. Alright, so what's the next step? Now I could do like a wavy line, but I thought I might do a generally straight line across the middle. We'll see how good my eyes are. Now I might put my metallics on first. I'll start with the copper. I might put two lines of copper, and I'll put the red and the orange in between. We'll see if that works. See? Now what's about halfway? Won't look halfway to you. Okay, yeah, that's about right. And I'll do my other one. And then I'll do the same thing with the gold. I'll put that on top of the copper without trying to drip it everywhere. Now the silver I'm not going to be as generous with. Oh, why is it dripping everywhere? Like so. Maybe, won't I? No, I won't get too carried away. Now, ideally I'd have these in little squeeze bottles too, but I don't, so I'll just use a spoon. A little bit goes a long way. I might put some more on. I can save the paint for something else, so it won't go to waste. And then I'll put the red on. Maybe I'll do a little bit more, maybe just a smidge. And then maybe a smidge more red. Okay, or maybe I do want a little bit of silver. Come on, silver. Okay. Now, hopefully I haven't ruined it. Okay, Now this is my water bottle. You won't see what I'm doing really. I'll spray the bottom part of my paper towel with water just to weight it down, and then I'll put it on the painting and drag backwards. That's the plan anyway. So I'm just making it reasonably wet. If you don't think it's heavy enough, you can use 2 paper towels. Now I don't want to start all the way over my colour. I'll lie it down. And then I will pull backwards, like so. And then you discard the towel and you get another one. And repeat the process. So I lay it down. And just pull backwards. If your paint is too thick, you can't swipe. It'll just stay there. So thinner is better. And thin paint allows your metallics to pop through as well. You can probably see the metallics making their little reactions. So try to find halfway. So lay it down and drag backwards. Oh yeah, that's the effect I was going for. So lay it down. Drag backwards. Okay. Now I don't need a whole paper towel. Just get my scissors. Scissors to do the last little bit. That's enough towel, about half. About half a towel. Lay it on. And drag backwards. Okay, now to do the other side, I'm just going to turn my canvas around. Like so. Hopefully you can still see that. I'll just have a look. Not quite. That should be better. Okay, another paper towel. Everything is gradually turning black here. Put it a bit too far. Oh. Put it too far. Should have been. That's better. You can't swipe again if you make a mistake. Like so. Yeah, just didn't make it. I have to use my little skinny piece again. I only need a itsy bitsy piece this time. How's that? Okay, that looks really nice. I like that. Don't particularly like this one here, but as I said, I can't fix it. I was wanting more red and orange rather than the black there, but yeah, there's nothing I can do to fix that. So I'll leave it. As I say, if you're mostly happy, then don't touch it anymore. Now I'll give it a bit of a torch. Encourages reactions to happen. And we'll pop air bubbles. The gold is lovely. Over your paint. The extreme sheens, they do take a little while to work. Really nice. Yeah, just a pity this end doesn't look like this end, but yeah, I don't think in the grand scheme of things it matters too much there. But yeah, that looks really lovely. I like the effect in the middle there with the orange and the red and a little bit of silver there. Now, before we do anything else, we do need to go around the bottom edges just to scrape off any drips. The drips look unsightly when they dry. They can also pull paint off your canvas. Not as much of an issue when you have thin paints like I'm using today. Thicker paints tend to be more of a problem. Yeah, but I like a tidy canvas, so I'll just go around, scrape the edges off. Now this will develop in the next few minutes. So what I'll do is I'll finish scraping and then I'll do a little bit of tidying up and then I'll bring you in for a closer look and we can see how it turned out. Okay, so there's the painting. I think it turned out pretty nice. So I'll just bring you down. Look at the middle first. See the lovely effects we get. It looks a lot lighter in the camera than it does in real life. We're sort of losing the gold in the camera. You can see like the cell action happening. Yeah, I don't particularly like this end, a little bit too much black. And you can see the gold a bit better now. we get some really lovely effects. So what did you think of that one? I think it turned out really nice. Is that a technique you'd like to have a go at yourself? If it is, remember the main thing for this one is to use thin paints. They're easy to swipe and your metallics will pop through much easier. If your paints are too thick, the metallics won't come through. You won't get those interesting effects. Anyway, that's the end of today's tutorial, I'm afraid. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you were inspired to give something a go yourself. Feel free to comment below. I do read all the comments. Feel free to share the video as well. As usual, if you like what you saw today, please take a moment to press the like button. And if you'd like to see more of my content, please take a moment to subscribe. Well, I hope you have a really great week ahead or two ahead until whenever the next video pops up. In the meantime, happy painting.